Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sammysnake Racing YouTube channel, home of the fastest snake in the world, your host, Sammysnake. Now, this channel is coming up to its 1-year anniversary, and we're on the cusp of 10,000 subscribers. I think we're less than 150 away, and the growth has blown my mind. It's been much faster than I ever would have expected. But I think one of the reasons why this channel has grown so quickly is because I get the same feedback all the time. People ask me, how did I get so fast in such a short time frame? I've been playing Gran Turismo 7 about 2.5 years, 6 months on a controller, 2 years on a steering wheel. And we're at the level where if we push our times in the time trial or qualifying, we can get all the way up in the leaderboards, usually in the top 10, top 20, something like that. We rub shoulders with some of the very fastest in the game. We can have excellent races with the likes of Valerio Gallo, Mikel Hizal, and we even hold a few world records within the single player game. So, with all of that in mind, I thought it would be a good video to actually break down what I did, how I practiced, where I started, what was I doing to build up, the fundamentals, and then go on to develop from there to the driver I am today, to hopefully give you guys some insight to how I practiced that could potentially help you improve and enjoy the game more. Because let's be honest, the better you are at a game, the more you're going to enjoy it. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to take you through a brief history of the fastest snake in the world to show you how we got to where we are today. Okay, when I first started playing Gran Turismo 7, it had been about 5 years since I had played a racing game. And the last racing game I played was Gran Turismo. I think it was either Gran Turismo 4, Gran Turismo 5, and my knowledge was non-existent. I'd forgotten everything. I didn't know my braking markers, my driving lines, my turning points, and it was a bit of a mess. I needed all the driving aids on, it felt like. ASM, counter steer assist, braking markers, driving lines, because I felt like I was clueless. But after doing the basics, completing the license tests, an S10 took me an incredible amount of retries to get gold. I then went to YouTube to try and find what was the fastest way to earn credits, because we all know how difficult it can be to earn credits quickly in Gran Turismo 7. And I discovered that the content creators I was watching were much faster than me. And not only were they much faster than me, they were driving without the driving aids. So after a little bit of research, I decided that the best route forwards in terms of me becoming a improved driver long term was to learn how to drive without these driving aids turned on. And I think that that was a very important decision, because yes, you see arguments about whether driving aids do in fact slow you down, or are they helpful? And I would say that both are true. Both the fact that they can slow you down, but both that they can be helpful are true. But the cases in which they don't slow you down and are helpful, that is only because of your own errors. You see, driving aids mask your mistakes. So if you are making mistakes and you don't have control over your inputs, then they will make you faster. But if you want to develop as a driver long term, you need to learn how to drive without the driving aids to master car control and really start to develop. So the first initial stage I had was learning to drive without driving aids and become consistent. So that would be my first recommendation. Start to develop your skills as a driver without needing counter steer assist, traction control, braking markers, and be able to be consistent without those. That would be step one. Okay, so the first thing I committed to was driving without driving aids and mastering, or starting to try and master, the skill of not needing them. At this point, I was still in the early stages and I still make my fair share of mistakes. But the second step that I did, which I found helped me an insane amount to gain raw pace, was time trial, lap time challenges. So every week, Gran Turismo 7 releases a new lap time challenge where you can earn 2 million credits by getting within 3% of the world #1 time. Now, what's absolutely fantastic about this is often the world #1 or somebody within the top 10 at least will share their replay because they're proud of that lap, and you are able to watch that. So you get a front row seat to see exactly what needs to be done on whatever combination lap time challenge that they've set to get the most amount of time, or the lowest time you can, around that circuit. So what I would do is watch the replay, see exactly what they were doing in that vehicle, and I would combine that with loading a ghost. So I would also, once I entered into the time trial event, go to the leaderboards, load that replay, and set the ghost to 0.3 seconds away. Now, this is very, very important. When you load the ghost, you can set it to a preset, and you can set it to be a certain distance in front of you. I highly recommend setting it to 0.3 seconds. Don't set it to a second, half a second. You want it around 0.3 seconds because, for me, that is the optimal distance. It's far enough away for it to not be in your way and visually off-putting, and it's close enough for you to be able to react to when they're braking, when they're steering. And by doing that, you basically get a guided tour. You've seen the replay, you know exactly what gears and throttle inputs, braking inputs that you're supposed to do with that vehicle, but you're also getting a ghost in front of you that you're basically just trying to follow. And by combining these two, you gain the knowledge of what you need to try and execute, and then you get the visual reference right in front of you of when you're getting it right and when, more than often, getting it wrong. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if all of a sudden you gain into one corner, you're closing the gap on that ghost, and then coming out of that corner, the ghost absolutely disappears. It goes way further away than 0.3 seconds. You know that you've broke too late and you sacrificed your exit. So the next time you come to that corner, you try and brake a bit earlier, you square it off better, you get on the accelerator earlier, and hopefully you stay a bit closer. And through trial and error and spending hours doing this, I'm talking hours, I really honed my pace. And this is essentially what I did to for the next probably couple, 2, 3, 4 months. I just focused on time trial events and trying to be as quick as I could. I was obsessed with trying to get the leaderboards, and that was the second thing that really helped develop me as a driver. Okay, so after obsessing for a little while with time trial and trying to just bring up my raw pace, I did start to get a bit bored, a bit weary, tired of racing on my own. So I actually entered a racing league where there was 2 races a week, one on Tuesday, one on Friday, and the format was a 60-minute race with, I think, times 7 tyre wear, times 7 fuel wear, and times 3 refueling speed. And it was either in Group 3 or Group 4 cars 99% of the time. And it was down to you, prior to those races, to figure out a strategy. You were allowed to use racing hard, medium, or soft tyres, but it was down to you to figure out what was the fastest strategy to execute that race, but also for you to go away and practice laps and improve your overall raw pace. Now, here's a tip for you. If you are in a racing league and you want to just run laps and you don't have the privilege of being able to load the world's fastest lap time to follow and know exactly what you need to do, instead of opening a lobby and running laps, go to the circuit in single player mode, and then adjust your car settings so that you match them to BOP, balance overall performance, because if you're in a racing league, you know that BOP will be applied. It's usually just by adding a bit of ballast and reducing the power. And then by doing that and going to time trial mode, you get an active delta, and you can also load your own ghost. You can put your personal best ghost. So then you can have the visual reference of what's working better. So you might experiment going around a certain corner, taking a different line, using a different gear, and you get to learn what works better. So this period of my time playing Gran Turismo 7 was all about racecraft, strategy, and being able to find pace without the privilege of having the fastest person in the world to follow. And it wasn't long, due to what I'd done previously and then the time that I would put into practice, that I was dominating in these leagues. But that was the next step for me in my Gran Turismo 7 journey. So one of the next steps I did in Gran Turismo 7 was start daily races. I started tinkering with the daily races, getting involved. I wanted to see how I fared against the competition. I wanted to get an A+ standard account. So I started entering the daily races, and because of my previous experience of developing as a driver to not need driving aids, then developing as a driver to improve my overall pace, and then practicing my racecraft strategy, etc., in the racing leagues, when it came to entering the daily races, to get the A+ standard wasn't that difficult. The hardest thing was avoiding the chaos and making your way through the lower lobbies, but it wasn't that long before I got to A+, and that's when my eyes were open to the talent that we have in sim racing. And this is what I believe has really helped me develop as a driver, because when you do come across somebody that is much better than you, you start to see exactly what it is that they're doing on a consistent basis. And by having your eyes opened to the skill gap, it allows you to be humble, and it allows you to realize how much further you have to come. I'd been quite confident in the racing leagues, but to be honest, because I was winning every single one, it was holding me back as a driver. But by going to the online A+ arena, it allowed me to see what I was missing and what I would do to help myself improve. Is not just look at a driver, pulling away from me consistently and go, well, they're just better. I would save the replays and I would look back and try and figure out exactly what it was they were doing. Were they using different gears, different lines, etc.? Was it different settings? I used to think that it was maybe different settings, but this to me was just a realization that it's all down to your inputs. It is all down to your inputs, no matter whether you're on a controller, whether you're on a wheel. The top guys are just so ultra precise with modulating their braking, their accelerating, and their steering inputs, combined with making sure that they are in the right gear. And this was just the final step for me. This was the realization that there is no secret setting, no, hidden tip that you can all of a sudden click your fingers and become a way faster driver. It is practice, 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 and analyzing your practice, because practice only makes perfect when you are perfectly practicing, or practicing perfectly. But you get the meaning. You need to spot your faults, and you need to take it on the chin that it's not because somebody's got a better wheel or better pedals or anything else like that, or because it's just simply easier for them because XYZ. It's because they are doing a better job. They are modulating their inputs better than you. And that to me was the final stepping stone. And I'm still on this stepping stone. I am still trying to perfect my inputs. I am still trying to be more consistent. I am still trying to improve in certain areas. But there is not a secret hidden tip that will take you from being an A+ driver to a World Tour driver. It is literally just skill and consistency. So for me, I'm still in this final step. I am still slowly improving. And as I play the game longer and I practice each individual combination of circuit or car, I realize that over time I get better and better. And as I look even from races from 6 months ago, I notice that there are small improvements, whether it's consistency, whether it's a little bit of pace. I am slowly closing the gap from where I was before. I'm by no means at a World Tour standard driver just yet, but I have hope that with a little bit more time, perhaps that gap can get closer and closer and closer. And who knows what could happen in the future. So that is my final stepping stone, not blaming anything other than yourself for being slower than quicker drivers. And there we have it. That is the journey of the Snake up until this point. Now, you're probably hanging on thinking, I thought there was an announcement in this video. What's with the title? What's going on? Why would you say that if there's no announcement? Well, if you're here at the end of the video, you're going to find out what that announcement is. So the announcement, ladies and gents, is that I am going to be opening my doors to coaching. Coaching is now available from the fastest snake in the world. I have had so many questions over the last year, or just under, asking whether I would spend an hour with somebody in a lobby just to help them improve. And because of the demand, I am going to do that. Now, it's going to be limited availability. I have a full-time job. I'm also trying to run this channel, create content, but coaching will be available. I will put my email address in the description of this video. You can reach out and contact me for more information, but basically I will spend a 1-hour session with you in a lobby speaking via Discord, and we will analyze what it is that you want to work on, and I will give you all of the insight that I can to help you improve. It will be £40 for the hour, and I think that's fairly fair pricing from what I've seen. I've seen a few other people offering coaching, and I think with what I've got to offer, if you don't know anything about me, obviously I'm as fast as I am, but I am an ex-coach. I used to coach world-class powerlifters. I competed in powerlifting. I was ranked 3rd in the world in 2019, and I have worked with hundreds of different people coaching world-class athletes. I think I've got a fairly good knack for being able to articulate what people need to understand. And with the knowledge I've gained on how to be fast at Gran Turismo 7, this is why I think that it would work really well. So if you're interested and want to get coaching, reach out via email and we will organize something. So that is the announcement, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful and insightful. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button, smash the hype, and consider subscribing for future content. We're less than 150 subscribers away, like I mentioned earlier, and it would be great to be able to get over that threshold within a year. But from the fastest snake in the world, it's over and out. Take care, and thanks for watching.